such as establishing new procedures or creating impediments to oversight that enabled much of the surveillance abuse to occur. DOJ Inspector General Mike Horowitz was appointed by Obama in 2011. From the very start, he found his duties throttled by the Attorney General's office. According to congressional testimony by Horowitz, "We got access to information up to 2010 in all of these categories. No law changed in 2010. No policy changed. It was simply a decision by the General Counsel's office in 2010 that they viewed now the law differently. And as a result, they weren't going to give us that information." These new restrictions were put in place by Attorney General Eric Holder and Deputy Attorney General James Cole. On August 5, 2014, Horowitz and other inspectors general sent a letter to Congress asking for unimpeded access to all records. Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates responded on July 20, 2015, with a 58-page memorandum. The memo specifically denied the Inspector General access to any information collected under Title III, including intercepted communications and national security letters. The New York Times recently disclosed that national security letters were used in the surveillance of the Trump campaign. At other times, the Obama administration's efforts were more direct. The intelligence community assessment was released internally on January 5, 2017. On the same day, Obama held an undisclosed White House meeting to discuss the dossier with National Security Advisor Susan Rice, FBI Director James Comey, and Yates. Rice would later send herself an email documenting the meeting. The following day, Brennan, Clapper and Comey attached a written summary of the Steele dossier to the classified briefing they gave Obama. Comey then met with President-elect Trump to inform him of the dossier. This meeting took place just hours after Comey, Brennan and Clapper formally briefed Obama on both the intelligence community assessment and the Steele dossier. Comey would only inform Trump of the salacious details contained within the dossier. He later explained on CNN in an April 2018 interview why. Because that was the part that the leaders of the intelligence community agreed he needed to be told about. Shortly after Comey's meeting with Trump, both the Trump-Comey meeting and the existence of the dossier were leaked to CNN. The significance of the meeting was material. As Comey noted in a January 7th memo, he wrote, "Media like CNN had them and were looking for a news hook. The media has widely dismissed the dossier as unsubstantiated and therefore unreportable. It was only after learning that Comey briefed Trump that CNN reported on the dossier. It was later revealed that DNI James Clapper personally leaked Comey's meeting with Trump to CNN. The Obama administration also directly participated in a series of intelligence unmaskings, the process whereby a U.S. citizen's identity is revealed from collected surveillance. U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Samantha Power, reportedly engaged in hundreds of unmasking requests. Rice has admitted to doing the same. The Obama administration engaged in the ultimately successful effort to oust Trump's newly appointed National Security Advisor, General Michael Flynn. Yates, along with Mary McCord, head of the DOJ's National Security Division, led that effort. Executive Order 13762. President Barack Obama issued a last-minute executive order on January 13, 2017, that altered the line of succession within the DOJ. The action was not done in consultation with the incoming Trump administration. Acting Attorney General Sally Yates was fired on January 30, 2017 by a newly inaugurated President Trump for refusing to uphold the president's executive order limiting travel from certain terror-prone countries. Yates was initially supposed to serve in her position until Jeff Sessions was confirmed as Attorney General. Obama's executive order placed the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia next in line behind the department's senior leadership. The attorney at the time was Channing Phillips. Phillips was first hired by former Attorney General Eric Holder in 1994 for a position in the D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office. Phillips, after serving as a senior advisor to Holder, stayed on after he was replaced by Attorney General Loretta Lynch. It appears the Obama administration was hoping the Russia investigation would default to Channing in the event Sessions was forced to recuse himself from the investigation. Sessions, whose confirmation hearings began 3 days before the order, was already coming under intense scrutiny. The implementation of the order may also tie into Yates' efforts to remove General Michael Flynn over his call with the Russian ambassador. Trump ignored the succession order, as he is legally allowed to do, and instead appointed Dana Bente, the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, as acting Attorney General on January 30, 2017, the same day Yates was fired. Trump issued a new executive order on February 9, 2017, the same day Sessions was sworn in, reversing Obama's prior order. On March 10, 2017, Trump fired 46 Obama-era U.S. attorneys, including Preet Bharara, the U.S. attorney in Manhattan. These firings appear to have been unexpected. Next up, the media. In some respects, the media has played the most disingenuous of roles. Areas of investigation that historically would have proven irresistible to reporters of the past have been steadfastly ignored. False narratives have been all too willingly promoted and facts ignored. Fusion GPS personally made a series of payments to several as-of-yet unnamed reporters. The majority of the mainstream media has represented positions of the DNC and the Clinton campaign. Steele met with members of certain media with relative frequency. In September 2016, he met with a number of US journalists for The New York Times, The Washington Post, Yahoo News, The New Yorker, and CNN, according to The Guardian. It was during this period that Steele met with Michael Isikoff of Yahoo News. In mid-October 2016, Steele returned to New York and met with reporters again. Toward the end of October, Steele spoke via Skype with Mother Jones reporter David Korn. Leaking, including felony leaking of classified information, has been widespread. The Carter Page FISA warrant, likely the unredacted version, has been in the possession of the Washington Post and the New York Times since March 2017. Traditionally, the intelligence community leaked to the Washington Post, while the DOJ leaked to sources within the New York Times. This was a historical pattern that stood until this election. The leaking became so widespread, even this tradition was broken. On April 3, 2017, BuzzFeed reporter Ellie Watkins wrote the article, "A former Trump advisor met with a Russian spy." In the article, she identified Mail 1, referred to in court documents relating to the case of Russian spy Evgeny Boyakov, as Trump campaign advisor Carter Page, who had provided the FBI with assistance in the case. Just over a week later, on April 11, 2017, a Washington Post article, "FBI obtained a FISA warrant to monitor former Trump advisor Carter Page," confirmed the existence of the October 2016 Page FISA warrant. The information contained within both articles likely came via felony leaks from James Wolfe, former Director of Security for the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, who was arrested on June 7, 2018, and charged with one count of lying to the FBI. Wolfe's indictment alleges that he was leaking classified information to multiple reporters over an extended period of time. It appears probable that Wolfe leaked unredacted copies of the Page FISA application. According to the indictment, Wolfe exchanged 82 text messages with Watkins on March 17, 2017. That same evening, they engaged in a 28-minute phone call. The original Page FISA application is 83 pages long, including one final signatory page. In the public version of the application, there are 37 fully redacted pages. In addition to that, several other pages have redactions for all but the header. There are only 2 pages in the entire document that contain no redactions. Why would Wolfe bother to send 37 pages of complete redactions? It seems more than plausible that Wolfe took pictures of the original unredacted FISA application and sent them by text to Watkins. House Intelligence Committee Chairman Devin Nunes has repeatedly stated that evidence within the FISA application shows that counterintelligence agencies were abused by the Obama administration. Most of the mainstream media has known this. Despite this, most major news organizations for over 2 years have promoted the Russia collusion narrative. Despite ample evidence having come out to the contrary, they have not admitted they were wrong, likely because doing so would mean they would have to admit their complicity. Next up, foreign intelligence. UK and Australian intelligence agencies also played meaningful roles during the 2016 presidential election. Britain's GCHQ was involved in collecting information regarding then-candidate Trump and transmitting it to the United States. In the summer of 2016, Robert Hannigan, the head of GCHQ, flew from London to meet personally with then CIA Director John Brennan, The Guardian reported. Hannigan's meeting was noteworthy because Brennan wasn't Hannigan's counterpart. That position belonged to NSA Director Mike Rogers. In the following year, Hannigan abruptly announced his retirement on January 23, 2017, 3 days after Trump's inauguration. As GCHQ was gathering intelligence, low-level Trump campaign foreign policy advisor George Papadopoulos appears to have been targeted after a series of highly coincidental meetings. Maltese professor Joseph Mifsud, Australian diplomat Alexander Downer, FBI informant Stephen Halper, and officials from the UK Foreign and Commonwealth Office, FCO, all crossed paths with Papadopoulos, some repeatedly so. Christopher Steele, who authored the dossier on Trump, was an MI6 agent, while the agency was headed by Sir Richard Dearlove. Steele retains close ties with Dearlove. Dearlove has ties to most of the parties mentioned. It was he who advised Steele and his business partner, Chris Burrows, to work with a top British government official to pass along information to the FBI in the fall of 2016. He was also a speaker at the July 2016 Cambridge Symposium that Halper invited Carter Page to attend. Dearlove knows Halper through their mutual association at the Cambridge Intelligence Seminar. Dearlove also knows Sir Ian Lobban, a former head of GCHQ, who is an advisory board member at British strategic intelligence and advisory firm Hackett, which was formed by former MI6 members and retains close ties to UK intelligence services. Halper has historical connections to Hackett through Jonathan Clark, to whom he has co-authored 2 books. Downer, who met Papadopoulos in a May 2016 meeting established through a chain of 2 intermediaries, served on the advisory board of Hackett. He reportedly still maintains contact with Hackett officials. Information from his meeting with Papadopoulos was later used by the FBI to establish the Bureau's counterintelligence investigation into Trump-Russia collusion. Downer has changed his version of events multiple times. The Steele dossier was fed into US channels through several different sources. One such source was Sir Andrew Wood, the former British ambassador to Russia, who had been briefed about the dossier by Steele. Wood later relayed information regarding the dossier to Senator John McCain, who dispatched David Kramer, a fellow at the McCain Institute, to London to meet with Steele in November 2016. McCain would later admit in a January 11, 2017 statement that he had personally passed on the dossier to then FBI Director James Comey. Trump, after issuing an order for the declassification of documents and text messages related to the Russia collusion investigations, including parts of the Carter Page FISA warrant application, received phone calls from 2 US allies saying, "Please, can we talk?" Those allies were almost certainly the UK and Australia. In a Twitter post, Trump wrote that the key allies called to ask not to release the documents. Questions to be asked are, why is it that 2 of our allies would find themselves so opposed to the release of these classified documents that a coordinated plea would be made directly to the president? And why would these same allies have even the slightest idea of what was contained in these classified US documents? Britain and Australia appear to know full well what those documents contain, and their attempt to prevent their public release appears to be because they don't want their role in events surrounding the 2016 presidential election to be made public. Next up, a Fusion GPS, Orbis, and Christopher Steele. Glenn Simpson, a former Wall Street Journal reporter, is co-founder of Fusion GPS, along with Peter Fritsch and Tom Caton. Fusion was hired by the DNC and the Clinton campaign through law firm Perkins Coie to produce and disseminate the Steele dossier used against Trump. The dossier would later be the primary evidence used to obtain a FISA warrant on Carter Page on October 21, 2016.